I'm gonna be on Beauty Guru Chatter. They're gonna be like, I don't know what race she was mocking, but she was mocking someone. What is up, guys? Welcome back. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my feelings about every single one of my one and done eyeshadows or my single pan eyeshadows, the way that, I don't know, the internet has come to talk about them. A one and done eyeshadow is one that you can just put all over your whole lid. A lot of times I appreciate that it either has a really cool dry down on its own and like a really interesting finish that makes it easier than pulling out a palette, and or a lot of times it means that it is buildable from sheer to full saturation and you can get a full look with depth and contour with just one color. Now, I will say, anything in your entire collection could be a one and done eyeshadow. You know, if you wanted to build black, sheer, and gray all the way, you know, top to bottom, one and done. If you wanted to use a pearl white, one and done. If you wanted to use bright green, one and done. These are just the ones that present themselves as such. They package themselves as such. But I mean, I could pull out my Pat McGrath palette and use every single one of those as a one and done shadow. I think that this comes down to more about like the efficiency of it, and or if you're someone who literally only wants to own a couple of eyeshadows. That said, I think that I'm going to go Wayne Goss style on this one. If you guys have ever watched him swatch a palette, he's like, I don't think it's useful to swatch it on my hands, and I don't think it's useful to stick my fingers in it. So he will stick a brush in it and actually wipe it in stripes all over his face. I only have my Thrive concealer on right now. I kind of wanted to show you guys a little bit in action what it looks like with no foundation on. This is just my face with the Thrive concealer here, 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 and here just blended out. It's ideal. It's so good for this use case, but I don't have any other pigment product on my face. I got brows, I got mascara, I have some coconutbalm.com, and I'm not gonna be sticking a brush in these because most of them are cream. It would gum my brushes up, and I don't think that that's really the most practical way to use a one and done shadow. The whole point is that you would stick your fingers in it. So I am literally just going to be sticking my fingers in it and wiping it across my face and probably blending it a little bit to kind of show you. I'm gonna move y'all in so you can really see it in like that 4K macro, and I will tell you guys my feelings on them, and hopefully my feelings will be demonstrated and reinforced by the swatches. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the collection is here, but don't be intimidated because a lot of these are the same formula, just different shades, and so I'm not going to swatch every single gosh darn one of them if I don't think that it is important to do so. I also wanted to show you guys this. So EcoTool sent me this. I can't remember what it was like in a congratulations for. I think it was for 50K. They sent me this, and it is from a company called Stony Clover Lane. They do all these customized little pouches, and mine says blush on it because that's amazing. So I'm just gonna grab back. We're just gonna start at the beginning here. So the first one I pulled out is actually the Supergoop shimmer shade. This is one that I don't get to share with you guys all that often, but Amanda fell in love with it when she was visiting me. And what I love, here we go, about these is that they all come in really, really wearable shades, and of course they are sunscreen. So it's SPF 30 that you're putting on your eyeballs. And that is what it looks like when you apply it. It does have shimmer to it. It does have shade to it. But two things that are the reasons that I don't recommend this that often. One, a lot of people don't love just putting sunscreen right next to their eyes. It can be very irritating. It doesn't really bother me, but I could understand that that would be a concern. And the other reason is the wear time on these is not extraordinary. I like them. I love the way that they look. I love the concept, but I have so many other ones in my collection that stay a lot longer. This is the shade Daydream. I've had this one for a really long time, so it's actually kind of dried out. The other one is much more moist. Very pretty shades. That one's very, very peachy and pretty. But yeah, it's not even that they crease, it's that they just disappear altogether. They just like go away. So, you know, wear them to the pool, wear them to the beach. They're great, you know, for your sunscreen routine. But it's hard for me to like give a full-throated endorsement of them as one and done eyeshadows in and of themselves. This one is First Light, and it shifts kind of gold, so that makes it not also my favorite. So those are the three shades that I have in that right now. Okay, next. Aha, okay. These are, and I will go ahead and pull both of them out because I think I packed one of, yes, a matte and a shimmer. So these are the Violette FR Year Paints, the eye paints, and I have the matte and the twinkling. These are not my favorites. Someone told me that she actually modeled these after a liquid lipstick because she had been in the habit of putting liquid lipstick on her eyeballs, and that makes perfect sense. That's exactly what these behave like, and in that sense, they do not behave like a very easy to use eyeshadow to me, and I completely stand by that review, as many people as showed up in the comments and told me, I think it looks great, which is nice, I appreciate that, but there was also, you didn't try hard enough, and you don't understand Violette's way of doing makeup, and it's supposed to look smudgy, it's supposed to be imperfect. I would never have combined those things together. That was not the point. The point was a review, not a tutorial. But way too pigmented on the matte, way too pigmented on the matte. Impossible to work with. It truly is. Like when you watch her put it on in her videos, she pulls out a makeup wipe and wipes it off of her face in order to get the shape that she wants. I'm not pulling out a makeup wipe in order to get my eyeshadow right. Like that just feels so bizarre to me. That's never gonna be part of my routine. And the shimmers are okay as toppers, they're fine. There are just other things that are better, and that color is just Christmas and like nothing else. It's just an odd kind of red to me. So I actually can wear pinks on my eyes, and even that one is just like too sicky red for me. So those were a complete pass. Next, what have we got? Oh, okay. So this is the Milk Makeup, what do they call this thing? Color Chalk. I bought these out of, I don't know, reluctant curiosity, and it's not that they're, that texture makes my skin crawl though. It's not that they're bad necessarily, it's just that they're stupid. Like there's no point in this. Like it's supposed to be eco-friendly because it's not in a pan. Pans are metal, they're completely recyclable. And it's wrapped in this, you know, foil, fine, whatever. Really hard to use because it's on this thing, and then they come in a plastic tube. I just think that they are very, very greenwashy and silly. I don't know, I do know. I don't like them. I don't like the delivery system. I think that they are different for no reason. Ooh, okay. I need Sam Ravindell to come out with more of these because this is like a 2-and-done shadow, right? It is the cream on the inside and then it has the glitter topper. The only reservation that I had about this was just that this is the shade Temper. This is her Smoke Reflect, and I love this cream eyeshadow, and it is a color that's very, very easy for me to wear. It's a color that's easy for a lot of people to wear. It's just kind of a neutral rosy brown, you know? I'm not gonna say it works on everybody, but it's a pretty easy to wear shade. And then the glitter is really less exciting. You know, it just didn't ever give me the celestial payoff that I wanted, especially because I also bought Ego, and Ego isn't a shade that I want to wear because it's kind of a green gray, but the glitter was so much more satisfying. I just wanted this glitter to be more satisfying, so I would love to see her iterate on this. To me, it's almost perfect. What have we got here? Ooh, okay, so this is the only one that I own of this formula, but I actually wear it all the time. This is the Hourglass Scattered Light in Ray, and that is what it looks like. They all kind of look like that, to be honest. But what I love about this is that it is actually that insane celestial payoff that I wish I got. Look at that. Look at the similarity in the color between the Auric Smoke Reflect in Temper and Hourglass Ray, and how Ray almost is just if you were to combine those two things together. I'm just noticing things out loud, fam. I don't have an agenda here. It spreads out really, 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 really beautifully. You can get a super beautiful sheer wash of this, or you can build it up as the day is long and get like event level glitter on your eyeballs or your cheek, if that's your truth. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of this formula. I would love to own more of them. Hourglass has kind of been on everybody's poo-poo list recently. And so it's what's kind of held me back, that and, you know, justifying paying this much for anything. But as far as Hourglass's formulas goes, this is just, it's a big favorite for a reason. Aha, okay, one of my favorites, absolute favorites, is the Vesca Moonlit Dream Cream Shadows. They come in a tube. I have all 4 of them. So they kind of come in 2 duos. So there's kind of a brown and gold, and then there is a matching pink and purple. And to me, like they're sold in duo. I mean, you can buy them individually, but they're sold in duos like that because they make a lot of sense that way. But what I love about these is that they have this delicious, I mean delicious glitter payoff. Like they look wet, and when they dry down, they stay looking like that. It is absolutely bonkers. They do sheer out in a really beautiful way, and when they dry down, they behave like a regular satin, you know, prestige eyeshadow. And so you can blend them with a brush as well. I hope that that's focusing. I can't really see, but I hope it is. But I mean, these are just unbelievable. Let me do another one here. That was Karina for the record. This is Lyra. We're gonna do it on my eye. Not in any particular shape. But Lyra is also just like, I almost said wet dream. So yeah, these are among my favorites. A lot of bang for your buck. They're not like totally inexpensive, but long wearing. A lot of things that call themselves one and done eyeshadows, like this, not long wearing, especially if you have something nice and dewy underneath it. Like the Hourglass will crease all day long. This does not. It might wear off a little bit in terms of the crazy wet payoff of the glitter, but I've worn these like all day long with like major like built up glitter. Makeup is always going to wear in. These are the least bad of anything that I've used. They're amazing. Okay, let's go ahead and just tackle the Illamasqua Iconic Chrome Pigments. So I originally started with the shade Alluring, and you're starting to see how, you know, when I do choose a one and done shadow, I tend to go for a pretty familiar color family. We're in the golds, we're in the pinks, we're in the, you know, rich taupes and things like that. And those are the ones that tend to rise to the top for me. Hopefully I can speak to the formulas outside of that for you guys. These just happen to be the shades that look better on my eyes. But yeah, I chose Alluring first, and I'm just so glad that I did. Look at that, it's just so beautiful and satisfying. Oh my God. I'm so in love with this color in this formula. And Illamasqua was sweet enough to send me a bunch of the other ones. And the next one that I tried was OMG. OMG is a shade that they have in their liquid highlighter, they have it in a powder highlighter, they have it in a few things, and they also have it in this formula. And it's very pretty, but it doesn't have that same like multi-chrome finish. As you can see, it's just a little bit flat on the skin. And that's not a bad thing necessarily, but it's not really what I'm going for either. So that one was kind of a pass for me, and it is a little bit disappointing how these differ so much shade to shade. So this one is called Avant-Garde, and you're about to see why. Whoa. Now, if that is a color that you can wear, a gold shift green, Kyla, I'm looking at you. Or God, deep skin tones. A lot of deep skin tones can really get away with stuff like that. Like the people who this flatters, it doesn't look green on them. It just shifts so green on me. So that is, again, like that really, really beautiful payoff that you get from Alluring, but not necessarily a shade that looks very good on me. And then finally they sent me one called Deity, which is a kind of purple shift blue. I mean, it's very Rituel de Fille, you know, ethereal, the whole nine. Very, 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 very pretty. Again, something that's going to flatter some skin tones, just not really mine. And it's super sheer. The way that this one has this like total opacity, this one's so surprising because it doesn't. So it's interesting that these are all the same formula. They're all the Iconic Chrome Pigment paint, but this one, like these two are so sheer, and this one's a little bit flat, and then this one has the most chrome payoff, and this one has maybe the second most chrome payoff. They also are pretty long wearing though too. The formula is really, really interesting. It's almost a cream, but it's not. It feels really creamy though. Okay. Aha. All right, let's talk about the Victoria Beckham lid lusters, because there were a few, actually two that I had before that I did not really like, and I only have one of them sitting here, but this is like blonde. I bought blonde because I thought blonde was going to be the ultimate like inner corner highlight, and it's just too wacky. Like the texture of it, for whatever reason, ended up kind of chunky for me, and it shifts to gold and it starts out too cool of a white for me. I know that was like a lot of complaints, but it just didn't do anything that I expected it to do. I need the pigment of the shadow itself to be closer to the shift of the glitter, you know, for it to look like build a natural illusion on my eyes. And it's just that I had expectations for it that weren't what it set out to be. And so that's on me. So I did end up picking up these two you guys saw in my last video. I got Honey and Tea Rose, and I quibbled and I agonized for so long about whether or not I was going to get these, because the other ones had honestly played me so badly, but like I could not be happier with Tea Rose. Oh my god. Like you can see, it goes right in line with all the other stuff that I love. And Honey is like right there alongside Vesca in Karina. Like they're very, very similar. You can do that. Karina is more like yellow gold, and this is going to be like a little bit more, I don't know, it's just a little bit richer. But those are some of the most flattering tones on me that I have ever used. And I'm very glad that I picked them up, because this formula is gorgeous. I never had an issue with the formula. And what's so cool about this formula is that, like, yes, when you do a really, really thick swatch like that, it looks, you know, really satisfying, but when you blend these out, you get more of just the underlying pigment of the shadow. And so, you know, the glitter itself is almost like a copper pink, but then the underlying shade is a little bit more brown, and they really are so versatile. That's a one and done eyeshadow to me. You know, I have really enjoyed wearing these on their own. This one gives me ultimate like honey suntan vibes. Oh. It just really, I want to do like a whole, like a second iteration of my like sexy summer skin tutorial and just center it around that honey eyeshadow, because it's bonkers. It's so good. All right, let's talk next about Phytosurgeons. This is going to be one of your most cost-effective out there on the market, and you are not sacrificing on the formula at all. These perform like the most luxurious cream eyeshadows I have ever used. They have so much color impact, and they are so silky. And they have just enough slip for you to spread them out, and then they do dry down, which is phenomenal. So let's see, I'm gonna do, that's Amber Aura. Nope, that's Potent Petal. I'm gonna give myself, there we go. And then there's Amber Aura. Now, are they like super glittery? No, but they are so perfectly shimmery. They have just enough of a shift to them where they catch the light, and they're in Canadian dollars, and when I, you know, buy them in American dollars, they're like $17. I want all of them. Okie dokie. We're running out of real estate here. Oh, okay. Smashbox, always on. This is actually a little sleeper hit, guys. Great matte one and done cream eyeshadow, liquid eyeshadow. Like, you don't really see a lot of mattes that really work, and it's so crazy because I think that I acquired the Violette ones at the same time that I got these from the Sephora sale. I have the blue one too, and this is just light years easier to use. It's so much easier to use. It really performs so beautifully, and it's what I was hoping for from the Violette ones, but like this one was designed to be an eyeshadow, and this one, you know, she said was basically a liquid lipstick, and so, you know, choose your fighter, but this is my preference all day long. One of the things that I did mention about the Violette shadows versus other things that I prefer the formula better is that hers have trouble kind of feathering at the edges. As you can see, like when I try and move it with my fingers, granted it's dried down, but like you can see even my finger marks from earlier, it doesn't like to feather, whereas like this feathers at the edges, because it's got to stop somewhere, and I think that that's why she has to pull out a makeup wipe in order to get a good edge on it, is because they just don't want to blend away. At some point they need to blend away. Okay, let's talk about the Rowan palettes here. Now, Nikki DeRoas does not work at /own/ whatever Rowan anymore, and so I'm like not that interested in their future releases, but this is the 1111 palette, and to say that this is an innovative formula is an understatement. It's just the most like rock star, cool girl, I'm like messy eye, but also just so put together and worn and at the same time formula doesn't work for everybody, the same way that, you know, anything doesn't work for everybody. But for someone who doesn't really like rock messy looks all that well, these facilitate me looking cool when I do, you know? And you kind of have to like embrace what the formula wants to do. It's not going to tolerate like a really graphic black eyeliner on top because it's got texture, you know what I mean? That's a textured formula and it stays creamy. It doesn't completely dry down, and that's kind of why it wears in and looks grungy over the day. And so that's just something that you have to kind of adapt to if that's what you want. But I mean, for some people, it's just the most holy grail formula on the market, and I don't blame them at all. Plus the colors are so lovely. The 1111 palette is all these really pretty kind of rich pinks. So pretty. Here is a sneaky little fun one that I found recently. This is the NYX Vivid Brights. Why won't you focus? Why won't you focus? Some days we all have trouble focusing. This is in the shade Glam Rock, and it is just a perfect cream shadow for like, I think $10, $14, something like that. Beep. At the drugstore. Cruelty-free at the drugstore. And this formula, NYX makes it in a lot of very vivid shades. That's why it's called a Vivid Bright. This is one of the more tame ones, and that's what, you know, made me choose it. But also it's one of the only chromey finished ones. The other ones are very matte, and they're beautiful. They all work really, really well, and they're very satisfying for what you're hoping for. Like, they're like working with paint. But because of the color of this one, it works for every day for me. And it's just one of those things that, like, again, you're getting so much bang for your buck here. It's so affordable, and it's truly like, it behaves like a prestige formula. I love it. Now, this is something we don't see that often on my channel, and it's because it was another one of those releases where I felt like Glossier missed the mark on colors. Like, the colors of the lid stars were really bonkers, and I don't have the new ones. No shade, I just don't have them. This is the shade Fawn, and it's like taupe shift lavender or something. It just is bizarre. It's a very strange shade that doesn't look good on me. And they're too sheer to wear as like a punch of color, you know, like a paint that's like, oh, it doesn't matter if it goes with my skin tone because it's so opaque that it's, you know, bright blue or whatever. It doesn't really sell me in one direction or the other, and that's why I didn't really talk that much about these. But the cool thing is, and I'm really glad that they did expand the shade range, because hopefully that's going to make the colors more wearable. Because the best thing about this is, the best part about this is that they are crazy long wearing. Like, they're waterproof when they go down. So that's what's worth it to me for them. And the same kind of goes for the Sky Wash. This, again, is something that just a lot of people had trouble with. And for me, that's like why I have trouble like giving it a full-throated recommendation, is because I had no trouble with it. But like, I watched my friend Devin, who's black, have a lot of trouble with these because they came out so patchy on her, especially the the lighter, wackier colors, like the sky blue and the lime green and stuff. And regardless of whether something flatters your skin tone or whether you want to wear it, it should still work. You know what I mean? It should function. And like, it didn't function for her. It looked silly. It was like milky and broken up, and it obviously wasn't working. And so that's kind of what kept me from talking about these long term. They work fine on me. Again, weird shade range. It was all just kind of these super warm colors that came out kind of chalky. But this is the shade Echo. Echo and Pebble, like, were really, really awesome for me, but I think that it was very, I don't know, there's a very small group of people who could like make use of these. On the other hand, as far as shade ranges that were recently increased and that I really am such a huge fan of, the Thrive Brilliant Eye Brighteners. I mean, like, this is Muna, so this is kind of the original of their funny kind of taupe browns that they did. So they put out Cali, they put out Muna, they put out Peely, and Anise. And the best thing about these, and you guys continue, I'm just gonna throw some white on there, there's Estrella. The thing that you guys continue to reinforce for me in the comments, and I always really appreciate this because, again, I'm only one person, and you guys continually reinforce the fact that every cream eyeshadow in the world is ever creased on you except for the Brilliant Eye Brighteners. So if you got super crease prone eyelids, I would highly recommend the Brilliant Eye Brighteners because they are so silicone based. They don't even need to have a dry down because they're not wet. They're not oily, they're not greasy. They're just like dimethicone, and they're really, really easy to blend. They're really, really easy to work with. I highly recommend going and watching my last video that kind of demystifies the differences between the Muna and then the iterations on it, because they're actually pretty different from each other, but it starts to get a little hairy. So it's just worth seeing them all next to each other, but beautiful formula. And unlike a lot of these, the formula is the same shade to shade to shade. It's very consistent. All right, home stretch here. Let's chat about Danessa Myricks. So these are the Color Fix. I have the matte and the foil. So I have the matte in Creme Brulee and I have the foil in Milky Way. So these I learned sort of the hard way, but again, just like recommendation from you guys, to use very little. You don't need much of these. These are the things you always see her squirting onto her clear palette, mixing and then painting onto her models' faces on Instagram, and they move like magic on the skin. They really do. And I initially put too much on. I would highly recommend using a very, very little and or applying with a brush, because the brush just spreads it the way that she intended for, I think. So this is Milky Way, and it is so awesome. Like, it is excitement in a tiny little tube. Like, it just takes any look and makes it go party, like party time. And there's another, she just came out with a whole bunch more and I need to buy them, but there's another one that's really, really glittery. That's, I think it's called like Surprise or something. I can't remember, but like I need that one too. Yeah, I can't say enough about these. Danessa Myricks is a genius. Her textures are unbelievable. Like, she just does such innovative formulas, and this is such a really cool thing to be able to play with. I love that she manages to bridge the gap between making makeup for makeup artists, because it's mostly textures and colors and then you pick how you use it, but they're so easy to work with that they are just fun for the average makeup user as well. That's a really, really hard needle to thread, and she does it beautifully, effortlessly. We cannot talk about one and done eyeshadows without talking about Oyster Pearl from Charlotte Tilbury. I know it used to have a different name. I don't remember what it was. I didn't own it at that point, but this remains one of my favorite eyeshadows in the whole world, okay? And I hate to be such a cliche, but there's a reason that it's just so popular. And this is the Eyes to Mesmerize formula. So like, if your skin tone is nowhere like mine and this color wouldn't flatter you, the formula is still really beautiful and there are tons of shades in it. And so I just can't recommend this enough. The only thing is it doesn't fully dry down. And so the 10-second eyeshadow from Kosas, oh girl, there is no hope of me finding that right now. I have no idea where that is, but it's very, very similar to this in the shade Globe. They're very similar. And you can see this is also really similar to, what was that, Sunset? Bye, Sunset. Sometimes memory serves. Super similar to Sunset from Supergoop, but obviously a little bit longer wearing just because of the nature of the formula. And when I wear this on camera, I wear it all by itself with some eyeliner and mascara, and people always ask what I have on my eyes. It just has something about it. Between the color, the way that the formula spreads, and just like how effortless it looks, but how much really pretty drama it adds, especially to brown eyes and a skin tone like mine. You know, it just looks at home. It's so easy to work with for me. Granted, you know, you can't, like the Vesca, it's gonna be a lot glitterier, but you can get something like that out of it. Honey isn't that dissimilar, and you know, you could probably get, if you're careful, like with a primer or something, you could probably get more wear time out of the Supergoop ones if you want, but it's a classic for a reason. All right, Rare Beauty. This is the liquid eyeshadow that she put out, and this is in the shade Nearly Mauve. Something that absolutely drove me bonkers about this release was that all the shades were so similar to each other with the exception of Nearly Apricot. So like, is that anywhere close to mauve? No, it's not. It could be nearly anything, okay? It could be nearly terracotta, nearly rose, nearly neutral, nearly whatever. They were all so similar, but the formula is actually really nice. It does feather really well. You know, I really like the formula. I just hope she puts out some more colors because this was honestly kind of boring. Okay, I don't even know if you consider this a one and done. It's just like an eyeshadow topper, but this is the Natasha Denona Chromium liquid eyeshadow. I'm gonna give myself a chromium liquid mustache. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, these are really incredible. They make you look like you have ethereal snake skin, you know, but they are very much a topper. I don't really know if it's just my skin tone, but like, you know, they don't have enough opacity on their own to really qualify as like a one and done. You really have to like build this up and saturate it in order for it to read. Otherwise it just kind of looks dirty, like I just gave myself a dirty little mustache, which I did. A dirt stash. Okay, well that's fun. Now you can see it all sheared out. It kind of shifts pink. I have the shade Dogbane. Then we have Starfish from Chantecaille. This is it's just like a regular powder eyeshadow, but it just has a really nice emollient quality to it. And it also is just such a pretty, like brown with a mauve like anchor to it that looks just really nice if that's a color that flatters you. And do you need to pay this much for an eyeshadow? Absolutely not. No, you don't. It would be silly, honestly. I just wanted to see if there's anything special about it. It's not beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous, but like you don't need to spend this kind of money on a single eyeshadow. It's not that special. And finally, this thing kind of, in a nice way, surprised me. It didn't blow my mind, but this is the Covergirl Exhibitionist Lid Paint. And maybe it didn't blow my mind because this shade is so close to my skin tone that, you know, it didn't really like show up all of that effectively on my eyes, and I did end up like topping it off with something, but it's very, very pretty, and it is like waterproof, crease proof. It actually dries all the way down. So this thing is like, I think $10 at the drugstore at Ulta. And so I wanted to include a couple of like, you know, affordable options for you guys because they do exist. It was hard for me for a long time to find anything that I liked at the drugstore for my eyes until I started looking at one and done eyeshadows. It's the palettes that are really frustrating. So this I can really speak to. It's a very, very pretty formula. And you know, when you're looking at it in contrast to something like Charlotte Tilbury, which is like 30 something dollars for a little pan of eyeshadow, or the Chantecaille, which is probably even more than that kind of thing. It's just, you don't have to shell out that much money for these things. So, yeah, guys, I painted my face today. I meant nothing else by it other than to just be able to swatch all of these things for you all at one time. So hopefully that's helpful. I'm gonna be on Beauty Guru Chatter. They're gonna be like, I don't know what race she was mocking, but she was mocking someone. No, I'm just trying to show you guys some eyeshadows, and they all tend to be kind of pink brown, so. I'm actually out of words. I can't do like a smash or pass on these because I feel like they all have nuances due to like the performance, how much wear you're expecting out of them, what's a selling point to you about them, their textures, their prices, how many of them you would even want to own kind of thing. But yeah, this is the vibe today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If this was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm gonna go wash my face. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.